Good morning, beautiful birders. Today, while getting harassed by chickadees, I'm checking out Fish Creek Provincial Park. This is one of my favorite places to go birding. It's really my local patch, if you will. Fish Creek Park is one of Calgary's largest natural environment parks. It is under provincial jurisdiction. I'm checking out the west side of the park, which is primarily forest. There's a mix of deciduous, aspen, and balsam poplar forests, some mixed wood with spruce mixed in, as well as some coniferous stands dominated by white spruce. My goal this morning is to say goodbye to some of the winter birds I've been enjoying over the last couple months, and these include Bohemian Waxwing and TOWNSEND'S Solitaire. These fantastic birds have helped keep my spirits high over the winter, but soon they'll be leaving us for their breeding habitat, with Bohemians flying to the north and the Townsend Solitaires headed back up to the foothills and montane regions of Alberta. So come along with me, let's go birding and see some cool stuff. Starting out, despite it being -15, my hands are freezing. There are quite a few sounds of spring. The flickers are calling, these white-breasted nuthatches are calling behind me, and the downy woodpeckers are drumming away on the trees. The morning started with a dashing descent of woodpeckers, with this downy woodpecker shaking its tail feather. Not far away, this hairy woodpecker was hammering away at a tree. Notice how much larger its bill is than the downy's. Its apparent mate was foraging nearby, quickly removing the bark from a tree. While this was happening, these two male flickers were engaged in battle. I said in a previous video how flicker fencing seems gentlemanly and non-violent. Well, these birds were downright scrapping. One seemed clearly dominant and before long chased the other away. It basked in the sun and its own glory before flying off. Behind me are the Raven Rocks, which are these really cool sandstone outcrops along Fish Creek itself. This is one of my favorite spots in the park and one of the best places to see Townsend Solitaire. Here there are quite a bit of juniper growing on the slope, and this is the Townsend Solitaire's main winter food source. Now I can't speak very well because it is freezing and my mouth is cold, but luckily the sun is warm, and so hopefully the air temperature will increase quickly here. In the trees behind me, I just saw a group of Dark-eyed Junco. Now this might seem like a winter bird for many of you, but here in Calgary, only a handful overwinter here. More and more of these birds are showing up, and they are one of our first spring migrants really. So exciting to see, and more signs that spring is on the way. So this hillside is absolutely full of Juncos. You can see multiple forms of Dark-eyed Junco in Calgary. These were of the slate-colored variety that primarily breed in the boreal forest. Males have a dark head and slate-gray back, while females are a bit lighter with a brown wash on their back. In a few of these shots, you can see the flash of their characteristic white outer tail feathers as they take off. These birds will likely be headed north to the boreal forest to breed. I didn't do a great job capturing it, but these birds were full of activity and were chasing each other around constantly. I've seen a couple Townsend Solitaires flitter around the rocks, but I think the Dark-eyed Juncos might be driving them away a little bit. I've seen a couple Juncos aggressively go up to a couple Solitaires and drive them off, which is pretty funny given the relative size of the two species. Despite the antics of the Juncos, a few more solitaires appeared on the hillside. These birds are both inconspicuous and wary, and never let me get too close to them. They are elegant, beautiful birds. They have a sleek, elongated form, and I love their clean, gray plumage. Townsends are known mainly as altitudinal migrants. Rather than traveling large distances north and south, they mostly descend from the mountains to lower elevations in the winter. These birds are known for being territorial over patches of juniper in the winter. Dominant adults often have higher survivorship than less dominant younger birds. You can often see them singing high on the top of a tree, marking their frosty domain. It might not seem like these stunted little aspen behind me provide a lot of wildlife habitat, but I've stumbled on something pretty interesting, a cavity occupied by a red-breasted nuthatch. Now this could be a roosting or nesting cavity, we'll have to see, but pretty neat find. Fish Creek is a great place to see mountain chickadee in the city, which, as its name implies, are more often found in the mountains. So up in this tree behind me, there is a big flock of Bohemian waxwings. They are such gorgeous birds, and they're fun to watch, just how social they are, and they're loud too. So long, Bohemians, and good luck on your journey north. This is what it sounds like to be under a flock of about, I'd say 300 or so Bohemian waxwings. I've been seeing huge flocks of these birds foraging on fruit trees planted in my neighborhood. It seems that after feeding, they travel back into the park to rest in the trees and drink and bathe at the creek. Bird banding data shows many do wander, as their name implies, with birds being found in different provinces in different years. But there is also evidence to suggest some bohos return to the same wintering grounds each year. So maybe I'll see some of these guys next year. In some places, these birds are known as eruptive, being seen every other year or so. But being more central in their wintering range, Calgary hosts these birds in large numbers each year. And for that, I am thankful. Well, that was a great morning of birding here at Fish Creek Park. This is where I've been birding over most of the winter, so I felt pretty confident that we were going to run into those two really cool species, Bohemian waxwing and Townsend's solitaire. More and more, the Bohemian waxwings seem to be flocking up in larger and larger numbers, so I don't think it'll be too long before they're gone altogether. I'll probably still be seeing Townsend's solitaire when I go hiking in the foothills and mountains this summer, but it's pretty cool having them as essentially a backyard bird. I've really enjoyed spending time with getting to know these birds a little better this winter. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I'd love a thumbs up, and stay tuned for more nature content like this. And until next time, happy birding.